Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know what it is. Your boy Wild Come on back in the building. Another episode of I.O.W Sports Network. Hey, the show where we talk all kinds of sports, but hey, it's almost time. It's almost time for football. No more Olympics, no more baseball, no more basketball, nothing. We are focusing on NFL football, the king of sports. And in order to do that, we're going to preview one of these four teams you see in the background. All right. Just take a guess which one we're going to preview. Hey, you got to tune in to find out. Got a special guest with me today. Let's get to it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, man, we back in the building. I.O.W Sports Network. And we here to talk football. Hey, we ain't going to waste no time. Because the guest I got here with me, he's no stranger to the I.O.W Sports Show. Been here numerous of times. Great guy. One of the hardest guys I've seen out here doing this thing. You don't need to be on no FS1 or no ESPN. He work harder than them cats. He be out here just shaking and baking. Hey, he's an inspiration to me. You know what I'm saying? Love his content. Love his takes. I had to bring him back because we're talking Washington Commanders, and the best person to do that, none other than my man, Couch Coach. What's happening, man?
What's going on, Mar? How you doing, man? Appreciate
it. Hey, man, I had to bring you back. We talking Washington Commanders. Ain't nobody I know on the planet Earth that makes more sense to talk Washington Commanders than you, my brother. But before we do that, do a service. Do make sure that all the viewers, the watchers, the listeners, make sure that they can hear where you got your content at, so they make sure that when they're not watching I.O.W Sports, they watching Couch Coach. Go ahead. Tell them where they can find you at, my brother.
Absolutely. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Couch Coach Live, YouTube as well. Check out the podcast where you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, with there. And also we got a one-stop shop at couchcoachlive.com where you can check out our articles. Also link to our podcast feed, and also our social media feeds is there as well. So, yes.
That's what's up. That's what's up. My man got the website and all that. He's so professional. Hey. People, I'm trying to let you know, when you see content, you'll see how professional he is. That man is talking to the big dogs. I'm talking about he's in the interview rooms talking with the big dogs, because he's a professional now. All right, this ain't amateur hour. All right, hey man, always a pleasure to chop it up with you. So let's get to it, man. You guys drafted a quarterback this year, high in the draft, Jaden Daniels. As we record this, there's only been one preseason game. Just kind of give me your synopsis on how Jaden performed in the solo training camp in the first preseason game so far. Just kind of give us your breakdown.
Yeah, I think he did a pretty good job. I mean, and that's one thing about the preseason. You want to at least have an opportunity to see when he has positive plays. You look at one of the scenarios and one of the plays where he kind of did an audible. He threw that, I think it was like 42 yards to De'Ami Brown. Mm-hmm. And then also he was able to run in a touchdown. So you kind of was able to kind of see, even in the short sample size, that, hey, he can read the defense. He kind of see what's going on. Even though I know a lot of people will say, "Well, okay, this is a vanilla defense," but hey, even vanilla or what have you, he still was able to read that defense. So I definitely think that's a good thing, good sign to see. And then that ability where he can have that situation where he has the ability as a runner, so he can kind of throw it off. And I think that's going to be a great combination with the other personnel that we have on the squad for sure.
Nice. Any cause or pause to concern about Jayden Daniels' durability? I think one of the things for me coming out of the draft, he throws his body out there, man. He'll turn himself into a pinball. So I was a little worried about that. You have the same concerns that Guy do if he's going to throw his body around like that for 17 games.
Absolutely. And it's funny, even looking at him last year, he gave me anxiety. And I'm a Carolina fan. So seeing LSU on a random Saturday night, I'm like, okay, is he going to make it out this game? Because he was just going out there, just taking, in my personal opinion, was some unnecessary hits where he got a little greedy. And I understand, hey, sometimes in our nature that we do want to get greedy instead of kind of just settling kind of what the defense gives us. And, maybe just a few yards want to go a little bit, longer than the yardage allows. So, yeah, now I think on a week-to-week basis, seeing him, I'm always going to have that bated breath about making that plays. But I'm hoping that in this situation that he will understand, especially as he transitions to this next level, that, you can't do those type of plays because that's the longevity of your career where, hopefully Cliff Kingsbury can bring some guys from the Nationals and kind of allow him to, hey, let's teach him how to slide. Let's teach him baseball fundamentals, of that case. So hopefully we can employ some of the Nationals coaching staff to kind of help Jayden when it comes to that type of ability. But yeah, it's one thing where you'll be, one moment you feel good about it, and then the next you're like, oh my God, like don't get hurt, like slide. So yeah. Yeah,
hey, I'm with you.
Check on me on Sunday, Small. Check on me.
Hey, I'm
on 2:30.
I'm gonna check on you, dog. Because especially if I see some big hits, I'm be like, man, let me go check the house. Just saw that big ass hit. He just hit. Yeah. For real, I feel you. That's probably my only cause for concern. For Jayden, because I think he's very intelligent. I think he's very athletic. I think he can, to some of the points that you made earlier, he can. I don't think there's a throw that he can't make. It's can he not take the, like you said? I thought he took too many unnecessary hits in LSU. I'm just like, bro, I understand fighting for the extra yard. I understand that. That's fine. But he has to know that when you're in the NFL, you're playing the most important position. And sometimes trying to get that extra yard and taking those unnecessary hits is just not worth it. It's just not worth it. Why don't you ask RG3 how his career went taking unnecessary hits? Just ask him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just ask him. Obviously what I love about you're transparent. You're not biased. Give us your team overall kind of concerns about the Washington Commanders going into the 2024 season.
And yeah, as we talk about this is early, and I think one of the glaring thing is going to be the secondary. When I look at it, even though we've kind of patched it up a little bit, but this whole Emmanuel Forbes thing is starting to become a nightmare. Where I think, you've seen it even in the scrimmage. I don't know if you've seen it. There was a kid that went viral. He seemed pretty much on the line of scrimmage, like, hey, he gonna get burnt. And he said, or the young kid said cooked. Said, yeah, Forbes about to get cooked. And what SpongeBob said, 2 seconds later, he gets burned. So it's like that's kind of one of those things. And I think that's gonna be like the glaring. And I know the offensive line too. But I still think, even though when we scrimmaged with the Jets, obviously we had the preseason game with the Jets, but then prior to the game, we had a scrimmage with them on Thursday. Well, the following last week, we'll put it that way, where you seen where there was some sloppiness on the offensive line, which is a good thing now because you are going against probably one of the best defensive lines in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So having that opportunity to kind of see what you look at, see how pretty much measuring how you play against that type of competition is a good thing. It is a glaring concern for now. So I think those are kind of the two things and you would hope that this stuff could get cleaned up, and it may not get cleaned up, but those are the two glaring positions where I'm like, it's gonna be a cause of concern for sure.
I got you. You guys got a whole new coaching staff. No Eric Bieniemy no more. Obviously, he gets replaced by Cliff Kingsbury. Dan Quinn comes in as your new head coach. Just left Cowboys from the previous years, and now he's your head coach. Very defensive head coach who's pretty good at turning around some defenses. So what are some of your concerns, and what are some of your positives with this new coaching staff that you guys got in the building?
I think when you look at, when I look at the negatives, and these kind of in a sense kind of are positive in a sense, but I think initially when obviously when Dan Quinn was hired, I mean, especially considering the fact we had opportunities potentially when we had the Ben Johnsons and also the offensive coordinator from the Houston Texans. We, slow it. So, you think to yourself, okay, whoever's going to be the next quarterback, we have a good guy to develop him. Because obviously you look at how the Houston turned around their success last year, turned around. And then also you look at Detroit. You look at, a lot of people, you look at the success of the Detroit Lions. I mean, you really think about Jared Goff. I mean, especially from that. So you look at two guys that pretty much had some high prolific offenses. And you think, okay, we can get, they're both young guys. Slowick obviously was a part of our coach staff many moons ago. And, we've had so many younger talent, even throwing Mike McDonald, like those are kind of who the guys are in the mix. Then you get a guy like a Dan Quinn which it's kind of one of those moves where it's like, I'm glad I'm not a general manager because I would have went for the quote unquote sexy pick. I would have went for the person that had all the bells and whistles. But when you look at it, quiet as kept. I've never really heard anybody in NFL circles say anything negative about Dan Quinn. And and we've always hear negatives about coaches. Even sometimes people talk about Big Red on your end.
Oh yeah,
but people right.
I got my own nice against Big Red, but
right.
He's giving me 3 Super Bowls. So I kind of keep him on the wraps. I don't want to complain too much because I got 3 Super Bowls. But I got to complain. He just ain't loud.
Yeah, but I do like this coaching staff. But Dan Quinn, I think, definitely fits that most, especially for a team. I think in most years have kind of lacked that physicality and that toughness. And I definitely think he will bring that to the plate. I do like the Joe Witt defensive coordinator move because obviously that's what I was hoping that was going to be a position that's going to get short up, and it probably will. But obviously, we talked about this in the preseason because I look at like what he did last season, even without a Trayvon Diggs having Bland almost pretty much what he had like 5 touchdowns that went to the house. So you look at I'm thinking, oh man, Emmanuel Forbes could be that way. Potential St. Jude's could be that. So I look at those type of things. I see that could be our defense and be more of an opportunity type of defense. So I definitely think, especially in this game, you definitely, with this, you need to have, that was our biggest problem was getting the turnovers and then being gashed for a lot of yards on passing plays. And then I look at Cliff Kingsbury. I think that's a smart move. He's a former head coach, and I definitely think he has what it takes, I think, to help Jaden Daniels be successful. I know a lot of people look at his because I was even critical of Arizona hiring him 5 years ago. Because to me, I always thought, hey, you get fired from your school at Texas Tech, that's bad. To me, it was almost, it reminded me of at that time was like when Magic got left for the Lakers in a sense where and now look at what Magic is now. He's a minority owner of this team, so it's crazy how all these parallels kind of come into play. But
full circle, baby, full circle.
You're right, crazy, right? But but I think it's a coach staff that we need. I put it that way. It's like wants versus need. Like, hey, for Christmas I wanted a PlayStation 5, but I got a winter coat. So it's like Dan Quinn is a winter coat.
You don't want to freeze, so you better get the coat.
Correct, right.
That PlayStation can't keep you warm, baby.
Right.
It'll keep you entertained, but you might freeze. Right. So yeah, no, hey, I get it. I get it. No, that makes that. I think that's a good analogy because there's maybe certain things that you may want the Commanders to do, but I think at this point, I don't think you guys are hitting a full reset. But like I said, it's a new coaching staff. You're trying to bring in a new culture. No more Riverboat Run. No more the enemy. So it's like, hey man, we're just trying to reset the culture, and maybe we'll get the things that we feel you need and not necessarily want. And I think once you guys start, and I'm gonna tell you this, I was just talking to one of my good buddies, Alan. He's a Cowboys fan, and he does a lot of podcasts, and he put you guys ranked number 1 possibly to win the division. I was kind of shocked. So I'm gonna throw this question out to you. I want you to give us your educated guess, break down the whole division. If we were to rank the division from 4 to 1, who do you think? Who would you put in those slots from 4 to 1 in the NFC East? Just based off your educated guess and takes, how would you rank the divisions?
So I started at the bottom. So I'll start with the Giants. I definitely think they're another team. I think obviously losing Saquon, so I definitely think that's going to be an issue with them.
They come on, Chris. Couch, they'd have been there if you had Saquon anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you look at that, but then I just think that potentially they're going to regress. I do like their defensive line, so I definitely think that's a plus. That's fair. And also get Malik Neighbors. That's fair. Call me crazy, but I think number 3 is probably going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. This Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni issue is bad, and it's to a point. And I didn't really realize how deep it was until somebody really was telling me about as far as Jalen Hurts reaching out to Wink Martindale to kind of figure out what they do against him versus not going to your coaching staff to say, hey, what could I improve to do better? And then obviously they had that slide in the finals, So I look at it from that standpoint of, even though I think, and when I say third, some people don't think like, oh, this is going to be a 7-win team or whatever. I mean, still think this could be a double-digit win team, but I think a lot's going on in Philly. And then also you losing a Jason Kelce, who I think it's like a rock. Yeah. And I think some people, and I think people going to really realize how this locker room will be divided. And I think Jason kind of helped mend that type of situation where in the case where, if I'm any of those guys, okay, if Jason says something, we're going to roll with it. We'll run through a brick wall for Jason. Like, regardless of how we feel about Nick or how we feel about AJ or whoever, he's our guy. He's, that's where we meet. Jason met everybody in the middle. Yeah. And they're going to miss that.
I believe so. That's a foundational piece, man. You're talking about not just on the field. You're talking about, like you said, locker room, off the field. I think his presence is going to be missed, and more than just on the field, big time. So you got Giants at 4, say Eagles at 3. All right, finish it on out.
I'm gonna say Washington is number 2.
Okay,
and I think I think 1 through 3 is really gonna be like a difference between two or 3 games. So it's not like it's not gonna be like a huge gap. Rock bottom. Yeah. I look at like what we've done. Obviously the coachship, obviously bringing in a lot of guys from the Cowboys in a sense. So that definitely I think can definitely help us in the needs that we need. Obviously we got the center from Dallas, also Durance Lawrence. So I definitely think he's going to be someone I think could definitely be critical in this defense. And I just think just the overall improvement. I think not even kind of last year, but this Washington team was in playing meaningful football in the months of December and January. And I definitely think it will kind of carry over. I think last year was kind of an anomaly where I think everybody just gave up essentially at the New England game because we haven't won a game since November the 5th. So I think at that point, people were just packing it in. So
You was going through it last year, dog.
Oh, for sure. And them days are over with. So we didn't turn over a new leaf. And I'm gonna say Dallas to round it out, even though they have problems on the end. Obviously, you got Dak coming in. Obviously, pretty much could potentially be the lame duck quarterback here with the Cowboys. Who is they going to sign? Like, that's going to be the intrigue. Is it going to be, Dak, CD, or you're going to pay Michael? So you're going to have those issues. And even on that team, they were 12-5 last season. I know a lot of people say, well, they didn't really get much in the offseason. And I get that as well, too. And it's, that's a cause for concern as well. But I definitely think they will definitely be in the mix. I mean, and I just like their replacement, this really wasn't a drop off from defensive coordinator. Obviously, Dan Quinn's with us, but they bring in Mike Zimmer, and he's another one. People love Mike Zimmer. Like,
he's a damn good DC, bro.
And they love Mike Zimmer. Dion, even at the age of 57, will run through a brick wall for Mike Zimmer if need be, even at 57 years old. He loves Mike Zimmer. Like, it's so many guys who love Mike Zimmer as well. So I definitely think they will gravitate to him, and I think he's going to kind of save that defense. And then you also bring back Trayvon Diggs. So you think to yourself, and, so you look at it, and then, there's some other stuff with that team. But I definitely think when we have this ranking, I mean, it's literally, it could be from 10 and 7 to, 9 to 8, like, respectfully. I think there's at least, I think there's a possibility where 3 teams potentially can be double-digit wins potentially, and some could be, and then it might be 9 and 8 or 8 and 9. So it's right there. And I think we'll see that a lot. I think in this division for sure.
That's fair. I can see some congestion between 1, 2, and 3 for sure. In this division. Last question before I get you up out of here, my brother. Man, I always enjoyed chopping it up. What are some of the things that you think the Commanders will do this year, positive wise, that you think might propel them to win a division?
I think the leadership. I think now you look at I think the defense is going to be very strong. You bring in a de facto Hall of Famer who's going to, when he leaves the game, he's going to, go to the Hall of Fame when need be, in Bobby Wagner. I think you bring in that leadership. He'll be someone I think we've kind of yearned for, that type of leader on defense. And because, you think to yourself, most of these years we've had guys, who were there and they grow together. But if you got a guy like him, in this instance, he'll definitely help. And then I also think about on the defense, on the offensive end too. I think you look at a guy like Austin Eckler as well. He'll definitely help in that running game. Obviously with Brian Robinson, I think we'll have a very formidable duo. So I definitely think we'll have a good running game. And obviously, as the running game progress, you get that option of Jay Daniels. So you look at that. So I definitely think the leadership is something that's going to be key. And I think we'll have more of a proficient offense than we've ever had in quite some time. I think that's, I like how this offseason went for them, where they went for value, and they also got leadership. So, the guys who we just signed are going to probably have C on their jersey as a captain. I mean, so it's like kind of one of the things where you need those type of veteran leadership. So this team, they're going to fight. And I think that's one thing about what I'm going to love about it. Not to quote kind of Dan Campbell, some guys going to get us on their knee, get us down and pause. Some guys going to get us, but we're going to pause. Let me rephrase that. So it's going to be, it's going to be some situations where our backs against the wall and we're going to be biting kneecaps like Dan Campbell. Yeah. So we'll be going out fighting, even though we might get our teeth kicked in at times. We'll still be biting.
Yeah.
So for sure.
Hey, that's no. But besides the mishap on the say, and I know what you meant, but no. I think you guys are gonna be competitive. I really do think. I just think that, like you said, there's a lot of people that gravitate to Dan Quinn, and And when I was talking to my man Allen, he pointed out how he came in and turned that Cowboys defense around pretty much instantly. So I wouldn't be surprised if he does the same thing with the Commanders. And I love the pieces you guys have on offense. I love Terry McLaurin. I know for some reason his name gets thrown out in trade rumors, and I'm like, Washington would be foolish to trade him. I don't know why. I love Dotson coming on strong. He had a good season last year. He's going to mature. Brian Robertson Jr., hard runner. Love his game. I absolutely love the fact you guys brought in Austin Eckler. Obviously, being a Chiefs fan, I've seen him twice a year, and I'm glad he's gone. I'm glad he's out of the division. I'm glad he's out because he's Swiss Army knife. There's nothing he can't do at the running back position. To be honest, I hate to call him the great value version, but he can produce just as good as Christian McCaffrey. And I know a lot of people are going to look at me like, why would you say that, Mark? I'm like, because I've seen the guy for the last few years in the AFC West. The guy he's a scoring machine. Why don't you ask the fantasy football team owners who has him as a fantasy football team, had him on their fantasy football team, and see all the double-digit points that he got him every week? He was consistent. So trust me, Austin Eckler, I think your offense, I think, is, to your point, I think they're going to be definitely dynamic more than expected. And let's see what Dan Quinn does. So, man, great breakdown of your Washington Commanders for sure. Yeah, you guys are going to compete, and you are the second person to beat me on game of this little drama in Philly. So I can't wait to talk to Cool.
Oh.
He gonna
make it like it ain't nothing, but no,
of course he is. But I can't wait to talk to Cool. Cool. Hey man, this has been a phenomenal time like always. Always enjoy chopping it up with you. But before we get out of here, again, Couch, let the people know where they can find you at, my brother.
Yes, indeed. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere social media, Couch Coach Live, YouTube as well. And then also, where you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, we're there. And also just one-stop shop website, couchcoachlive.com.
Yeah, you heard the man. Go on over there. Go support my brother, man. If you ever see the work that he puts in, man, he's out there interviewing race car drivers, soccer individuals, baseball, football. He's so professional. He's in the media room with your quote unquote media heads and stuff. He's in there with them. All right. He knows his stuff, and I'll always love his show. He's had me on there a couple of times. Shout out to Maui, man. Shout out to Maui.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey man, always a pleasure, man. Hey, y'all make sure, go ahead, all the social media platforms right here for I.O.W. Sports Network is right there at the bottom. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even the Cash App if you're feeling generous. Hey, follow me because I'm like a Jamaican. I got so many damn podcasts. So just going over to my Twitter page, I'll be posting KC Wildcard. Hey man, like I said, this was enjoyable. Always a pleasure to talk football, my man, Couch Coach. Until then, hey man, it's another episode of the I.O.W. Sports Network show. We'll see y'all later, man. Hey, we getting ready for football. Hey, let's see who. You know what? I'm gonna let y'all know. We gonna talk to Koo next. All right, because I gotta find out what's up. All right, we gonna talk to Koo next. Hey, man, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. Peace.